Oklahoma voters decided back in June to expand Medicaid in Oklahoma. The question still to be decided, how do you cover the $160 million cost of it? As Jason Doyle reports, we'll have at least a partial answer if State Question 814 passes on November 3rd.
The legislature was looking ahead to possible funding for Medicaid expansion during this year's session. They see an opportunity in the Tobacco Settlement Endowment Trust, or TSET. So lawmakers put State Question 814 on the November ballot, asking voters to change the way TSET's endowment is funded to partially pay for the constitutionally mandated Medicaid expansion.
It's kind of an unfunded mandate, which we're going to expand Medicaid. In the Constitution, we have to pay for it, and there's a price tag there of somewhere between $160 to $164 million.
Currently, the law gives TSET 75% of the tobacco settlement money, while giving the legislature and the Attorney General's office the other 25%. State Question 814 flips that formula.
We just reversed it, but we do have to pay for Medicaid expansion. We wanted to offer that to the voters again on another state question, just like they passed 802 in June. Now let's figure out how we're going to pay for it.
Not everyone believes voters should change the TSET funding structure.
I knew it was coming. The legislature's been trying for a number of years to get a hold of the money that's coming into the Tobacco Settlement Endowment Trust.
Drew Edmondson was Oklahoma's Attorney General when the state entered the lawsuit against tobacco companies. He was also one of the state officials who asked voters to establish how that money was to be spent.
They're desperate to find the money. Taking the money from TSET will fund less than a third of that match. They still need to come up with dollars from other sources.
For 20 years, TSET has helped address public health issues like smoking, obesity, and nutrition.
The Tobacco Settlement Endowment Trust was created in 2000 by Oklahoma voters. It's a constitutional trust that invests the majority of funds that the state has received from big tobacco through the Master Settlement Agreement.
Constitutional trust. Those two key words have kept the funding formula for TSET the same since its inception because only voters could change it. TSET uses earnings from the endowment to pay for public health campaigns.
Some of our most recognizable programs would be the Oklahoma Tobacco Helpline, which has served 450,000 Oklahomans since it was created. We also fund Shape Your Future and Tobacco Stops With Me as health education campaigns.
Representative Marcus McIntyre is the chair of the House Health Appropriations and Budget Subcommittee and has been studying ways to fund Medicaid expansion and other health care related programs. He believes the approval of State Question 814 will help bridge the funding gap the legislature is facing.
It will supply $50 million toward that $154 to $164 million state match portion that we're going to have to make. With the budget like it is, we don't have a lot of places to go to find that money.
Oklahoma voter Chris Freyu is not supporting State Question 814. He recently posted on social media that he was leery of the move by the legislature.
My argument is that the legislature, in my opinion at least, has had a really bad history of taking care of funds well in Oklahoma, and funds that are earmarked for one thing end up somehow getting spent in other places.
McIntyre wants to reassure voters like Freyu that the money will go where it should. Along with the resolution setting up the State Question 814 vote, the legislature passed a bill restricting the funds if voters approve.
And it basically says, hey, legislature, you have to spend this $50 million for drawdown money on the federal match. And so the legislature's hands are tied.
Wallace adds State Question 814 will not keep TSET from funding its public health programs.
A lot of the programs that TSET funds and operates right now is based off the returns off the corpus. So everything that's in place right now runs off the return, but not off the corpus.
Freyu and Edmondson still have their doubts.
Doesn't make a lot of sense for me for the legislature to want to take funds from one thing that's funding health in Oklahoma to move it to something else that's funding health in Oklahoma. It should be a collaborative, effort.
Legislature's taking an easy route. I don't blame them for that. But anybody who believes that this money taken from TSET will be spent on anti-smoking is crazy. On cancer research is crazy. It's not going to happen.
One thing is certain, the legislature is legally bound to find a way to fund the Medicaid expansion, which is set to begin July 1st, 2021.
It's a constitutional amendment. And so we are bound to fund this.
Jason Doyle, the Oklahoma News Report.